Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I'm Miss Barnes, and I'm so excited that you joined me today for our math lesson. You'll notice I'm outside today. You might be wondering about that. Good. Today, our math lesson is going to take place here at this beautiful park at the National World War I Museum and Memorial. Now, if you remember last week, I told you that today we are going to talk about ways that you can do math at home. One of my favorite things to do is to take a walk. We're all stuck inside right now, and one of the best ways that you can stay healthy is to get outside. So today we are going on a math walk. Miss Barnes, what's a math walk? Did you know that you can take any ordinary walk and turn it into a math walk just by stopping along the way and talking about the things that you see around you that have to do with math? Now, I'm going to show you how to do that today, and at the end of the segment, you are going to be challenged to take your own math walk this week. Are you ready to get started? Come along with me. Now, you may still be wondering how to do a math walk or how to go on a math walk. That's okay. Let's stop here and talk about ways that we could use this frame to talk about math. One of the easiest ways we can practice math is by counting the things that we see. Can you count the trees that you see here?
Count the trees with me. Remember, we're only counting the trees in the foreground. That means the ones closest to us. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know there are other trees in the photo, but I only want to count these 4 right now.
Let's keep walking on that same path and see if there are any other trees we could count. Do you see here to the right this patch of trees? As we get closer, can you count them? How many trees do you see here to the right of the path?
Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you say there were 5 trees on the right of the path? If so, you're correct.
Now we just walked that whole stretch of path and we practiced our counting with 2 separate groups of trees. Now I'd like for us to practice our addition skills. Can you tell me how many trees did we count in all?
Remember, the second group of trees we counted had 5 trees in it. And we want to add that to the first group of trees that had 4 trees in it. Do you know what 5 plus 4 equals? Good job, it's 9. So in all, altogether, there were 9 trees that we counted while walking the path.
Let's stop here at the front lawn of the World War I Museum. This lawn is a great space for hanging out, reading a book, and just soaking up some sun. This view of Kansas City is also one of my favorite views. When you're looking at the skyline, can you think of ways to incorporate math? Remember that math isn't just about operations. Math can also be geometry, shapes, and sizes, and colors. We could talk about symmetry. We could talk about curved lines. We could talk about straight lines. There are so many ways. Which way would you like to do? I think when we look at the skyline, one of the easiest things to talk about is shapes. Can you remember all the shapes you know? Remember that shapes come in 2 dimensions, but they also come in 3 dimensions. Do you remember the difference? Remember that a 2-dimensional shape is typically a flat shape. It's one that only has the dimensions of length and width. Three-dimensional shapes are solid objects that you can hold in your hand. Can you think of some examples? Did you come up with a rectangle? A rectangle is the shape I'd like to start with today. How many rectangles can you find in the skyline?
Let's start by remembering what a rectangle looks like. A rectangle is a two-dimensional shape, and it has four sides. You might remember that a rectangle has two pairs of equal sides. So for the rectangle here, you'll see that the vertical sides are short while the horizontal sides are long. How many rectangles can you find? I see a bunch. Let's find three. The first rectangle I found is in the center of your screen. The face of that building is rectangular. Can you find any others? I found one there. Do you see the rectangle in the face of the building in the background? The last rectangle I see is Union Station. The front of Union Station is a rectangle too. There are so many other rectangles. Can you find two more? Great job. Let's talk about the next shape. The next shape we're going to talk about is a circle. You might remember that a circle is special because it has no sides. Looking at the skyline, I see one circle, and then I see some objects that are circular. Can you find the circle? There it is. The Western Auto sign is circular. The other two shapes that I see have semicircles. Now, a semicircle is half of one circle. Can you find two buildings that have semicircles in them? The first one is here at Union Station. The windows, the tops of the windows, are circular, but you'll notice that it is not a circle. Is there anything else you can see in the skyline that has a similar shape? There it is at Kauffman Center. The tops of the Kauffman Center for the Performing Arts are circular also. Great job! The last shape we should talk about today is this shape. Do you know what shape that is? The yellow one? You said triangle, great job. And a triangle has three sides. Triangles are going to be pretty hard to find in the skyline. And I really only see one for sure. Can you find it? There it is. Did you guess the top of Union Station? Great job on our shape hunt today.
Walk here at the World War I Museum in Penn Valley Park. There's this really awesome staircase right near the front of the museum. Can you think of ways that we can use this to talk about math? One of the ways I think we could use it to help us is by grouping the steps together in order to practice skip counting. Do you want to try it?
Let's start by counting the stairs in the bottom half of the staircase. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 stairs in the bottom half of the staircase. Now let's practice skip counting. Do you know how to skip count? What's the easiest number you know how to skip count by? You said 2, you're correct. We are going to practice skip count by 2s next. In order to do this, we have to count 2 stairs at a time. So the first number we start with is 2. Continuing, we'll skip count by 2s, and the next number is 4. 6. And 8. And that is how you skip count by 2s. Great job.
Well, we're back to where we started, right here in front of the memorial. Can you remember all the ways that we did math today without using anything from school? Do you remember how we counted the trees over by the baseball fields? And we looked at shapes in the skyline right here in Kansas City. Do you remember using those steps to skip count? The good thing is that you don't need to be at school in order to do math every single day. Get outside, take a walk, count things that you see, find shapes in buildings and in landscape. Help your parents do addition or subtraction, maybe even buy something from the store. Whatever you do, make sure that every day you're trying to practice your math skills for at least 15 minutes. That doesn't have to be solving a math problem with a piece of paper, and I hope that our lesson today has proved that to you. Remember, at the start of our segment today, I told you that your challenge was to get outside. So this week, I'd like you to take your own math walk, and remember to look for those things, numbers, shapes, colors, and find ways that you can do math every day right in your neighborhood too. Next week, we are going to start looking at some place value. I know we talked about it before, but this time we're really going to dig in and talk about how numbers work and what they mean. I can't wait to see you then, and I hope you enjoyed our lesson today. See you next week. Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Miss Barnes, and welcome to Math Mondays. This segment is for kindergarten through 2nd grade. Today you'll notice that I am outside here at Luce Park. The Rose Garden is just behind me. Today we're going for our monthly math walk. Do you remember a couple weeks ago when we went on our August math walk? That was the first math walk we ever did. Do you remember how to do one? So today, while we're here walking at Luce Park, we're going to focus on counting. We're going to count from the number 1. We're going to count on a lot of different numbers. And we're also going to keep track of the total number of objects that we count. You may want something to write with, a marker, pencil, crayon, and a piece of paper in order to keep track of all the things we count. At the end of our segment, this will be very important. Take a second now, and let's get ready to learn. As we get started here, we need to remember how to take a math walk. I told you today that our focus is counting. So, taking a math walk focused on counting just means that you stop in certain places and count the things you see. For example, here right in front of me, I see 1, 2, 3 street lamps. See? I've already practiced my math today. Are you ready to keep going on our walk? Next up, the tennis courts. As we walk along the west side of the park, one of the things we come across are the tennis courts. And you'll see this morning there are actually some people playing tennis. But we're going to talk about these park benches here. So as I get closer, we're going to count them. Are you ready?
Make sure you look closely. One of the park benches is sort of hard to see. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you count 5 park benches also? Great job. Let's keep walking.
As we're coming down the hill past the tennis courts, one of the first things I saw was this patch of trees. Can you count the trees that you can see in the foreground?
If you're having trouble deciding which trees to count, we're going to look for the trunks that have light on them. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6 tree trunks that have light on them. You may have counted a different number, and that's okay. For the purposes of our lesson, we're going to say that there are 6 trees in the foreground here.
Along the south edge of Luce Park, you'll find a monument to the Battle of Westport, which happened in 1864 during the Civil War. Along this pink gravel trail you'll see are plaques that you can read in order to gain more information about the Battle of Westport. Can you count them?
Let's see if you can find them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and one more. There it is in the background. 9. There are 9 plaques on the trail that you can read.
As we continue to walk along the south edge of Luce Park, I looked to the left and noticed that I could see the tops of some of the buildings. Can you try to count them? I know they're far away, but I bet you can count at least 4. Let's try.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5 different buildings. It's okay if you came up with a different number. Just remember that at the end, when we talk about what we've counted, I'll be using 5.
We're heading down the trail on the east side of Luce Park towards the pond. We're going to take a moment to pause here, and I'd like to see if you can count the number of objects that are painted black. This one might be hard. Make sure you look closely. Are you ready to count them together?
Here we go. 1, 2. I can also see the trash can in the background. That's 3, and right next to it there's a street lamp. 4. I count 4 objects that are painted.
We finally made it to the pond at Luce Park. Have you been here before? It's a really cool place to walk in the morning because the ducks are super active. So if you look here to the left on the center island in the middle of Luce Park, or the pond rather at Luce Park, you'll see some ducks out there. Do you think we could count the number of ducks we see?
We are going to practice counting the ducks 2 ways. The first way is we're just going to count by ones, like normal. Can we count the ducks by ones? We'll start with the duck that's closest to me, the one that's right by the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then do you see those ducks sitting in the shade? 7, 8. There's a duck right beside the tree. 9. I don't know about you, but I see a duck farther to the right, also sitting in the shade, for 10 ducks. It's okay if you counted a different number. But now we're going to practice counting by 2s. Remember, when we count by 2s, we think the odd number and count the even number. Are you ready to practice? We'll think 1, but we'll say 2. Think. Say 4. Think. Say 6. Think. Say 8. Think. Say 10. So skip counting by 2s gets us 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 ducks on the island in the middle of the pond.
While walking along the pond, I noticed that on the very far side was a group of ducks fishing. You can see over here that duck is fishing. You'll see kind of his tail feathers pop up as he goes down and gets a fish, and then his head will pop back up. So we're gonna stop here, and I'm gonna ask that you count the ducks that you can see here. Remember that one that's super far away? And see if you can add those to the ducks that we counted before.
Let's count the ducks first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here in this shot, there are 4 ducks swimming in the pond. Now let's think about how to add those. We had 10 ducks in the first group, 4 ducks in this group. How many is that all together? That's right, 14. 10 plus 4. Before we call it quits today on our math walk, I'd like to review all the places we visited and all the things that we counted. If you'd like to practice your addition skills when we're done here, I challenge you to add together how many things we counted total. We won't go over that today, but we will in the future. For now, let's talk about all the things we counted. We started over by the tennis courts, where we were able to count 5 park benches. When we continued down the path, we came to a grove of trees, where we counted 6 trees. As we continued along the trail and got to the south end of the park, we counted 9 plaques about the Battle of Westport. Then we counted 5 building tops and 4 objects that were painted black. When we got to the pond, we counted the ducks, and we practiced counting by ones and skip counting by twos. The first group of ducks we saw had 10 ducks, and the second group had 4.
Well, friends, that concludes our math walk today, and I'm so glad you came with me. Remember that we practiced our counting skills today. We counted all the things we could see. We practiced counting by twos, we practiced counting by ones, and we practiced adding similar groups of things together. This week, your challenge is to come outside with me, take a math walk, talk to your friends, your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, whoever you have close to you. Have them help you count. And my challenge to you is to see how high you can count this week. I can't wait to see what you come up with. It's been great having you in class today. I'm Miss Barnes, and I'll see you next week for Math Monday. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our lesson today. I'm Miss Barnes, and this is math for kindergarten through 2nd grade. Today, we're going to work on adding within 10. That means the sums of our problem will not be larger than 10. Our lesson objective today is I can use addition to solve real-world problems. And as we're working today, we're going to need a couple things. First, we're going to be using snap cubes. Now, you probably don't have snap cubes sitting around at home, and that's okay. If you don't, you can use any materials, objects, or toys that will help you count. Second, we're going to be using a part whole map. If you don't have a part whole map, I'm going to show you how to make one. Take any piece of paper that you have and fold it in half horizontally. So your paper's horizontal, and then you'll fold it in half and crease it. And then what I do is I take a black marker, and on that center crease, I'm just going to draw a black line. Now, it's okay if it's not perfect. You'll see that mine's not perfect. But it's important here that we have two distinct sides so that we can separate the objects that we're counting. So if you don't have a part-part whole map, that is a quick and easy way to make one. And just again, if you don't have snap cubes at home, that's okay. Find something to help you count. Maybe grab some of your blocks or some of your toys, maybe your action figures, and we can use those in this map also. Okay? So, just as a reminder, you need something to count with, a part-part whole map, and a pencil or something to write with. So take a quick second and let's get ready to learn. Let's get started. Here's our first problem. It reads, the pet rescue has 3 rabbits and 4 cats. How many pets does the rescue have in all? So what do you think is the first step to figuring this out? Remember I told you that we'll be working with snap cubes and this part-part whole map that you see on the right side of your screen. The first thing we'll do is pick a color of snap cubes to represent the rabbits. I picked green. Then we'll do the same thing for the cats. And for the cats, I picked the brown ones. So the first thing we should do is we need to model 3 rabbits and 4 cats in our map. So on the left half, I'd like you to place 3 objects. 1, 2, 3. And do you remember how many we need on the right side of the map? That's right, we need 4 because the rescue has 4 cats. So let's put those in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we have modeled 3 rabbits and 4 cats. But the question for our problem is how many pets does the rescue have in all? Well, how do I figure that out? Do you know? I bet I can guess. It's the opposite of subtraction. We're going to use addition to solve this problem. So the first step in writing an addition problem is writing down the numbers that we have of the objects. My addition sentence is 3 green cubes plus 4 brown cubes. But that still doesn't answer the question yet, because we need to find out how many there are total in all. So let's count the green cubes and the brown cubes together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how many cubes do we have in all? That's right, we have 7 cubes. But does that answer the question? Because the question says how many pets does the rescue have in all? So what should our answer for the addition sentence be? That's right, it should be 7 pets. How did you do? I bet you did great. Let's try the next one. Our next problem is about baseballs and basketballs. Do any of you play sports? I love the summer because we get to go outside and play sports. My favorites are softball, and I really love fall for football. So today we're going to talk about a box that's holding baseballs and basketballs. And this box is holding 5 baseballs and 3 basketballs. How many balls are in the box? Well, what's our first step? That's right, we have to pick colors for the cubes. I picked red for the baseballs and orange for the basketballs because they kind of match. Can you tell me the next step? That's right. We have to model 5 baseballs and 3 basketballs in our part whole map. So on the left half of your part whole map, I'd like you to place 5 objects that represent the baseballs. Let's count them together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you get 5 on your map? Great. Let's move on to the basketballs. How many basketballs did the problem say we needed? You guessed it, we need 3. So on the right half of your part whole map, I'd like you to place 3 objects that represent the basketballs. We'll count my cubes together. 1, 2, 3. Make sure your part whole map matches mine. You should have 5 objects on the left half and 3 objects on the right half. Does this answer our question? Are we finished? No, we're not. We have a question to answer, and that question is how many balls are in the box? That means we have to add the baseballs and basketballs together. Are you ready to try that? Can you first write an addition sentence that models your part whole map? What would you write for your addition sentence? I'll show you what mine looks like. Mine says 5 red cubes plus 3 orange cubes equals, well, how many? How many does it equal? Can you count all of the cubes in my part whole map together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 balls in the box. Did you get it correct? Great job. Now you might be thinking, Miss B, my part whole map is backwards. I put the 3 basketballs on the left and the 5 baseballs on the right. That's okay. As long as your model matches your addition sentence, that's what matters most. This also here on the left side with the red cubes will eventually be recognizable as 5. Today we counted them, but next week we might not. So make sure you're practicing reading different variations of models of numbers so that you can always recognize the ones that you see in front of you. Now the last problem we're going to work on today is a challenge for you to try at home. Are you ready to see it? Your problem says, Jen finds 2 leaves on the ground. Then she finds 5 more leaves. How many leaves did she find? So I'm going to give you some time to work on this, and then we're going to come back and review the answer together. Are you ready to review? So Jen first found 2 leaves and then she found 5 more leaves. If you said she found 7 leaves altogether, you're correct. Great job. If you didn't get the answer correct, that's okay. Just make sure you go through the problem and check your math. It's really important to go back and figure out where we made mistakes so that we can get better next time. That's all for today, friends. Let's have a quick review. Today we talked about adding within 10, and our objective was I can use addition to solve real-world problems. Remember, you don't have to be sitting at a table to practice your math. As you're out and about this week, walking, observing, you can count and add things all around you. As you're working this week, I would love to see everything that you're working on. If you would like to share something with me, you can find me on Twitter at MissB_KCPS. I'd love to see the work that you're doing. It was my pleasure having you in class today. I'm Miss Barnes, and I'll see you next week. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Math Monday. I'm Miss Barnes, and this segment is for kindergarten through 2nd grade. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope you had a great week. I know this week is supposed to be pretty nice outside, so make sure that you're taking extra care of yourself in this high-stress environment. Today, we are going to be working on a specific strategy called counting on. And we are going to need a number line today. Now, if you don't have one at home, that's okay. I'm going to show you how to make one really quickly. Take any piece of paper. You'll notice mine is kind of small, but that's okay. It'll still work. Take any piece of paper, and I want you to fold it in half, both horizontally and vertically. So you're going to fold it 2 times. I'm going to make the fold for the long edge first, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold it again. Both of these lines are important for getting our number line right. Okay. And then what you'll do is you'll take a black marker and you'll just trace over the line that cuts the paper in half, the long edge. And then in the line on the middle, you're going to make 1 hash mark and mark that as 5. Okay. On the far end, we need a 0. On the left, put a 0. On the right, put a 10. And then in between 0 and 5, you need 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in between 5 and 10, you need 6, 7, 8, and 9. So take a moment now, finish getting your number line ready, and let's get ready to learn. Getting started. Is your number line ready? Like I said, today we're going to be working with the count on strategy. It's a specific strategy, and the tool that we'll use is a number line today. Let's jump right into our first question. Jack sees 7 ducks in the pond. Hannah sees 2 more. How many ducks do they see in all? Do you remember when we learned our strategies for solving word problems that the first step is to read the problem in its entirety? That means the whole thing. Do you remember what that allows us to do? That's right. It gives us what's called context, and we're able to understand the story that the problem is trying to tell us. So here in this story, Jack and Hannah see ducks at a pond. Do you remember a time when we saw ducks at a pond? That's right, we went to Loose Park in August, maybe September. And we saw the ducks and we counted the ducks in the pond there. So let's talk about how to solve this problem. Jack sees 7 ducks in the pond. Hannah sees 2 more. How many ducks do they see in all? Now, when we're talking about using this specific strategy with a number line, we need to talk about a couple different things. First, we're always going to mark in the question where we will start and how many we will count on. So here I'm going to take my drawing tool and I'm going to highlight a couple different numbers, and I want you to tell me what we're going to do with them. So the first number that I would like to talk about is the number 7. Okay. Jack sees 7 ducks. Why is that an important number? Do you know? Well, let's talk about the other number. Hannah sees 2 more. One of these numbers is where we start, and one of these numbers is how many we need to count on in order to find our sum. So where do we start? With 7 or with 2? Let's start with 7. So on my number line, I'm going to put my finger on number 7. When I put my finger on number 7, you will see a green highlight pop up with number 7. So you find number 7 on your number line and put your finger on it. There is my number 7. Now, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to count on. When I count on using a number line, you're going to see a hump and an arrow pointing to the next number. That way I know which direction on the number line I'm counting, and how many humps is how many times I have to count on. So let's start at 7, and Jack saw 7 ducks. Well, how many did Hannah see? Hannah sees 2 more. So let's start at 7, and with your pencil or with your finger, I want you to count 1 to 8, and 1 more to 9. So this is 1, that is 1. So altogether, we counted 2 more. Now, what number did we land on? Take a minute and look. That's right, we landed on 9. So what do you think the sum of our question is? What is the answer to our problem? The question is, how many ducks do they see in all? So our answer is they see 9 ducks. How did you do with that one? Are you ready to try another one? Let's see what the next question says. So here's the second question. Are you ready to try it out? Remember, step 1 is to read the whole question. Brandon is picking tomatoes from the garden. There are 4 in the basket. He puts 3 more in. How many tomatoes are in the basket now? So let's think about the problem and the story that it's telling us. The second step is, let's talk about what our answer is going to look like. What is our answer statement going to say? So the question that we have to answer, is how many tomatoes are in the basket now? So our answer statement should say, there are some, so I'm leaving a blank, tomatoes in the basket. That is our answer statement. Now let's go back and read the question a second time and figure out where we need to start and how many we need to count on. Are you ready? I'm going to get my highlighter tool out, and we're going to stop when we get to the second sentence. So are you ready to read with me? Brandon is picking tomatoes from the garden. There are 4 in the basket. So that tells me that we need to start on the number 4. How many do we need to count on? Let's read the next sentence. The next sentence says, he puts 3 more in. So that tells me we need to count 3. So I'm going to take my tool here, and we're going to count 3 jumps to the right because he's adding. So 4, count 1, 2, 3, and I'll draw my arrow there because that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to put my finger on the answer to our question. I'd like you to do the same on your number line. Are you ready? My answer is 7. what's your answer? Did you also get 7? Great job. So when we go to fill in our answer, how many tomatoes are in the basket? If you said 7, you're correct. Are you ready to try one more? There's one last problem for you today. The last problem we're going to try together is this problem. Step 1, read the whole thing from start to finish. Anna fills 6 bowls with water. Then she fills 1 more. How many bowls did she fill? Okay. Well, our first step is always to take the question and turn it into a statement. So let's find our question. How many did she fill? So our statement is going to say, Anna filled blank bowls. Remember that blank is there because we don't know how many she has filled yet. We are trying to solve for that. Now let's go back and reread the question and let's find out where we're going to start on our number line and where we're going to end on our number line, or how many we're going to count on rather. So the first step, let's read the first sentence and find out how we start on our number line. So Anna fills 6 bowls with water. Can you find 6 on your number line? What if you can't find 6? Do you think you can count from 0 to 6? Awesome. Let's start at 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and there is 6. Great job. Now, when we're counting on from 6, what number do we need to count for? What number do we need to count on? So we need to take our tool and come back to the question and read the second sentence that says she filled 1 more basket, or bowl rather, sorry. She filled 1 more bowl. So we're going to start at 6 and we're going to fill 1 more bowl. And we landed on the number 7. So can you tell me, how many bowls did Anna fill altogether? That's right, great job. Anna filled 7 bowls altogether. That does it for today, friends. You did a great job and you worked so hard. I can't wait to see you next week. It was my pleasure having you in class today. Remember, if you want to show me what you're doing every day in school, if you want to show me the answers to your questions, you can find me on Twitter at MissB_KCPS. We'll see you next week. Everyone, welcome to Math Mondays. I'm Miss Barnes, and this segment is for kindergarten through 2nd grade. Friends, today we're going to be working with a strategy that requires a 10 frame. Do you remember what a 10 frame looks like? It's just a table that has 5 columns and 2 rows. If you don't have one at home, I'm going to show you a really quick way to make one. But you don't even need a 10 frame as long as you can organize your counters or your chips or your action figures into 2 rows of 5. Okay? But I'm going to take my piece of paper and find my marker. And I'm going to fold the piece of paper in half long lengthwise so that I'm folding the paper like a hot dog fold. And then I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and as best you can, I want you to try and draw 5 even columns. Mine are almost even, but they're not quite. So if yours are not quite even, that's okay. All right, here is my completed 10 frame. You're gonna need one of these for our lesson today. So take a minute now and let's get ready to learn. All right, our objective this morning is I can use a 10 frame in order to solve problems. We are going to be working with the 10 frame, which hopefully you made. Today we're just going to be using red counters, and you might want a piece of paper and a pencil or writing utensil. Ready to get started? Here's our first question. Now remember, we have to read the whole question before we can start to solve. That way we understand the context or the story behind the problem. So let's read the problem here. A team has 5 soccer balls at their practice. The coach brings 2 more balls. How many soccer balls does the team have now? Model the problem using the 10 frame, then write an addition sentence to solve. All right, so tell me the story behind this problem. So we're at soccer practice, and the team has 5 balls that they're using to practice with. How do we model that? Remember, on our 10 frame, we can add 1 counter to the 10 frame as we count in order to organize our information. Let's do that now. So here's 1 counter, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's modeling the first sentence. A team has 5 soccer balls at their practice. What does the second sentence say? The coach brings 2 more balls. How do we model that on our 10 frame? Let's just add 2 more counters to our 10 frame. 1, 2. How many soccer balls does the team have now? All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to write a sentence that will answer our question. So here I'm going to write, the team has blank soccer balls. And remember that that blank there just tells us we haven't yet solved our problem. Okay. Now we have to write a number sentence that solves our 10 frame and the model. So what do we do first? Well, we look at the first row and we say, how many counters are in the first row of the table? Well, we know that a full row on a 10 frame means that there are 5 counters. We're going to go ahead and count them individually to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in one full row of a 10 frame, there are 5 counters. Whoops, I'm going to undo that and try again. 5 counters. Now we have to count the number of red counters in the second row. How many are in the second row? 1, 2. So I'm going to add that to my number sentence. 5 plus 2. Now I'm going to do some erasing. And I want you to think back to a strategy you know that can help you get to the answer. Do you remember how to count on a number? So we're going to start at 5 because we know that 5 counters fit in the first row of the table. And now we're going to count on 5 in order to get our answer. So using our counters, we have 5 in the first row. What comes after 5? That's right, 6 and 7. So what's 5 plus 2? That's right, 5 plus 2 equals 7. That means the team has 7 soccer balls. Great job. There's one more problem that we're going to solve today. And that problem is right here. So let's read the whole problem from start to finish, and then we'll go back and solve each sentence. Justin packed boxes over the weekend. He packed 3 boxes in his kitchen, then 5 boxes in his living room. How many boxes did Justin pack? So remember, the first thing I want to do is write a sentence to answer the question. So my sentence will be Justin packed some boxes. And we'll fill that blank in just a second. Now we're going to go back and read the problem sentence by sentence. The first sentence says, Justin packed boxes over the weekend. Stop there. Does that sentence give us any information about the problem? No, not really. So let's continue. He packed 3 boxes in his kitchen, then 5 boxes in his living room. And that's where the period is, so that's where we'll stop. I'm going to break this sentence down into 2 smaller chunks. The first one says, he packed 3 boxes in his kitchen. So how do we model that? That's right, let's put 3 on the first row. 1, 2, 3. The second half of the sentence says, then 5 boxes in his living room. So how many do we need to put on the second row of the 10 frame? That's right, we need to put 5 on the second row of the 10 frame. Next, we need to add a number sentence to our work here. So let's talk about the first number. How many counters are on the first row of the 10 frame? That's right, 3 counters. And on the second row, we know there are 5 counters. And can you tell me what 3 plus 5 is? That's right, 3 plus 5 equals 8. So Justin packed 8 boxes. Great job today, friends. That was a lot of really hard work. It was my pleasure to have you in class today, and I'll see you next week.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.